This is the American Nightmare Podcast, episode 23, recorded January 23rd, 2020. All right, we'll start off.
Man, it's hard to believe we'll have hit 24 episodes soon.
Yeah, that's crazy. Let's start off with horror news.
Okay.
Rob Zombie's 3 from Hell comes to Shudder on Valentine's Day. So if you haven't seen it, you did see it? I have not seen it yet. So
no, I saw that. I saw
great.
that it's coming to Shudder. I don't have Shudder though.
Oh, yeah, I don't have Shudder
I should
either.
have grabbed it,
but I'm going to sign up
grabbed
for
when
it.
it was like $69 for the year or something like that.
Oh, I wonder if they're still
Or it
running
was
that
less
deal.
than that, I think. What's that?
I wonder if they're still running that deal.
It was a pretty good deal actually. It was actually around Halloween. I think they were offering. I want to say it might have been less than that too.
Yeah, because I'm still looking
I
forward
saw
to seeing
another
the Creep
decent
Show.
series that's coming out, too. I forget what the hell it was called. For Shudder. Original programming.
Interesting.
Trying to remember what the hell it was now, and I'm drawing a blank. Damn it. Should have wrote that shit down.
Yeah.
All right. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Season 3 starts tomorrow.
What?
Sweet.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Sweet. We were just talking about that. I said, when the hell does that new season start?
Yeah.
Oh,
Season 3.
nice. I'm all caught up now, so.
Yep.
What do you think of it?
Oh, it's a great show.
It is.
I was bummed when so one nice thing about when you watch a show late, you can kind of catch up at your leisure.
Yeah.
But then when you're done, then it's like, oh crap. No, I got nothing.
Monday, FX announced that they are ordering 3 more seasons of American Horror Story.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm kind of mixed on that.
Yeah.
The last season jumped the shark for me.
Yep.
It
I'm with
started
you.
out good, and then it they try to do too much. You know,
Yep. Not
I was already on the edge because the last couple of seasons were just and then this one barely had any of the old stars in it, and just when it was 3/4 of the way done, I was ready for it to be done.
Exactly. Yeah.
I stopped at like 4 or 5. I think I was like, I'm done with it.
Well, my question is, how do you squeeze 3 more seasons out of this shit?
That's it, man. You know, kicking a dead horse is kind of horrific, so maybe that's what the vibe they're going for. Let's beat the shit out of that horse as much as we can.
Yeah. FX also announced What We Do in the Shadows. Season 2 starts on April 15th.
Yeah, I saw that. That's going to be awesome.
With a special...
I started watching season 1 again.
There's a special guest star, Mark Hamill.
Yep.
Nice.
He's going to be in the season.
Yeah, they didn't say what his role is going to be, though. They just said he's got a cameo somewhere.
Man, I just hope he's like one of the vampires in the in like the vampire council.
werewolf.
Or shit. Or oh my god. If he was a werewolf, not a swearwolf, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Andy Muschietti, director of It and It Chapter 2, he is developing the Howling remake for Netflix.
I saw that. Yep, I saw that too.
Yeah, it looks like that is likely going to be out sometime next year, probably late in the year. They're still in the development process right now, but I'm excited to see that. I think he's a great director for the stuff that he's done so far, and
Absolutely.
I'm hoping that he does some magic with the Howling. Now, the Howling has a special place in my heart because it did come out the same year as American Werewolf in London and featured some of the same special effects artists from American Werewolf in London, and it gave me special frightening experience as a child. So there's a special place in my heart with nostalgia when it comes to the Howling. So hopefully he does a good job with it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Blumhouse, Fantasy Island. It has 4 trailers now, and I don't know if we've seen them all. In a combination.
Oh, I did see one of those.
Yeah, a combination between TV and internet. There are now 4 trailers, and actually,
Wow.
I'm very intrigued by it. I think I want to see it.
Yeah, it does look interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting take on Fantasy Island.
I didn't get to see any of the trailers.
It
No?
looks like
Yeah,
it's going to
you
be
should
more
check
of
it out
a
afterward.
very
Yeah.
horror kind of
Yeah.
twist of it.
Okay, cool.
I almost think of it
I
as
mean,
like
the TV show was a little dark.
yeah, but not like you got to see these trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to
Okay.
me, it looks like this is more of a Tales of the Dark Side type freaking thing, you know?
Nice. Okay.
Doctor Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining, in book form, that is. You will see that on streaming services, Amazon Prime, starting tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. I never got around to going to the theater to see that one.
Free or no? You pay for it.
Yep, Amazon Prime. So if you have Amazon Prime, it is the free included with Prime Video.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Might be watching that this weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
They've been doing a nice job, the Amazon Prime, with the horror movies.
Yes,
Yeah.
they have.
Like they did Hereditary. They had Midsummer. It just popped up on there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There is a new movie that comes out tomorrow. I've only seen the trailer for the first time probably about 2 weeks ago, and it's called Color Out of Space. Now, this is a short story by H.P. Lovecraft. My son and I read it probably about when he was 12. When he was 12, we read this short story because I bought him for Christmas that year a collection of H.P. Lovecraft's short stories. And apparently, the person who put this film together, the director, producer, his name is Richard Stanley. And I haven't heard of him before. I don't know if he's like someone well-known or a renowned type producer, director. But apparently he's put a lot of effort into crafting a Lovecraft universe in order to develop more stories by H.P. Lovecraft. So, and this is starring Nicolas Cage. I don't know if you've seen the trailer yet. Trailer looks great. The trailer makes it seem it's a little bit like a cross between Annihilation and the Lonesome Death of Geordie Verrill. Do you remember that Lonesome Death of Geordie in Creepshow Part 1, the Creepshow, the first movie? That's the guy that gets that's the Stephen King where he touches
meteor
the
shit.
meteor and like, shit grows all over him.
Yeah.
Meteor shit.
Yeah.
That's Stephen King, I think, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, Geordie. Yeah, Geordie. You.
Long kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that story. But it looks a lot like that, and apparently, like I said, he's built around this H.P. Lovecraft universe, and so far, Rotten Tomatoes has it listed at 89% by viewers. There's only 58 reviews the last time I looked. Let's see what it says right now. Color Out of Space. 86%. And this is out of 94 viewers. Okay, so there's more people have watched it, more people have rated it. It won a whole bunch of awards from different film festivals, including Sundance that it premiered at this year. And it looks really good. The trailer looks great, and I'm really looking forward to it. In addition, that same director is working on a screenplay for the next movie, which is The Dunwich Horror, which I don't know if you've read that. Another great short story by H.P. Lovecraft.
So he really is building out that universe then, sounds like.
Yeah, which is a great idea because kind of H.P. Lovecraft put together a bunch of short stories, and he put together like synopsis of the creatures of the universe that he has created so other people could write stories based on his universe.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it was a pretty great idea for the time, and I think it's a great idea to kind of pick that up and run with it. It is only in art house theaters, so out here in California, I'm going to be going up to Los Angeles on Saturday to see it. It's going to be at the what the hell's in those Ale House cinemas that are up here. I forget the name of them, but so those independent theater type places, where
movie
you sort of
tavern or whatever.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't really like Nick Cage, and he's the star of this, but hey.
Yeah.
I think a guy I work with is a new guy. He's a horror buff. I swear he told me today he went and saw it last night, like locally.
It's possible.
He lives in Emmaus.
It's possible.
The Emmaus movie theater sometimes shows like old stuff and lesser known stuff, and yeah, he dug it. He said I asked him to give it a rating because I figured we might talk about it tonight, and he He said he gave it a 4 out of 5.
Wow. All right.
He said, but he said he's a big Nicolas Cage fan, and he said, Nicolas Cage is. If you've seen Mandy, it's he's like over the top and.
Right. Well, the producer of this movie produced Mandy.
Okay, so yeah, he liked it. He liked it a lot.
Excellent. All right. That's awesome. Now I'm looking.
When he
forward
told
to
me about it, I was like, I never even heard of that movie, dude.
Yeah. I that's the thing. Is like 2 weeks ago, it just popped up on one of my news feeds in Instagram, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what is this? And it says over the top sci-fi, movie that's
Yeah, so-
and I'm like, wow, all right. It says like deliberately over the top. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm looking forward to
Well,
it.
that's Nicolas Cage for you.
Yeah.
They got the right guy for it.
Yeah, hell yeah. His acting is always over the top. There is a comic book series that came out a few years ago called Lock and Key, Locké and Key. I think it was 10 issues. It was written by Joe Hill, the son of Stephen King, the co-writer of, what was that movie we saw, In the Tall Grass?
Yeah.
And it was illustrated by Gabriel Rodriguez, who's a pretty good illustrator. He's done a couple different graphic novels. They have this developed into a show, which will have season 1 premiering on Netflix February 7th, called Lock and Key. And according to Netflix, they loved it so much, and the reviews they've gotten for people who have screened it, they've already begun producing season 2.
Oh wow.
You know anything about the story, Sal?
From the trailer and from some interviews with Joe Hill, I haven't read the graphic novel, which after I saw that it was based on a graphic novel that Joe Hill wrote, I did order it yesterday, so all the issues are coming in from Amazon. I ordered it. But Joe Hill wrote this as a graphic novel, and then the minute he started writing it, somebody pinged him to option it, and he sold, the film rights to it almost immediately. It was funny. He made a joke. He said, like any good author would, you just sign away the rights to your story before you finish it. But Netflix optioned it, and they've developed it, and it looks pretty good. It looks like a bunch of kids that move into a house that there's a bunch of locked rooms and random keys all over the place, and they're unlocking doors, and it turns out it's kind of like a haunted house situation.
Cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool. It almost kind of rang to like the House with the Clock in the Walls type thing. I don't know if you saw that movie at all with Jack Black.
Yeah,
No,
I did.
I didn't see it. I think we talked about it that one episode.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting movie, but this looks even better. This looks quite filled with horror.
Okay,
And
good.
Joe Hill says it was one of his favorite things writing. So, and he says that he was invited on set. He gave some options and notes and stuff to the producers and directors, and he said he loved it. He saw a rough cut of it before it was completed, all the episodes, and he said it just blew his mind. He was very satisfied with what they did with it. And if you're not familiar, Joe Hill has become quite the prolific writer. He wrote Horns, which also was made into a movie.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing the trailer for that. That looked
Daniel
interesting.
Radcliffe.
Was that Daniel Radcliffe?
Yeah. Horns was a fantastic
Yeah.
movie. I loved it. But that was also written by Joe Hill and something that's
Okay,
an option.
I have that in my queue to watch. Horns. So
The book is definitely better than
Yeah.
the movie, but the movie's good. I think the movie captures kind of the core of the book for sure. There is another movie called The Turning, which also comes out. Let me see. I don't think I have the date down here. Oh, it comes out in February also. So The Turning stars that Wolf. What's that kid's name from It?
Oh yeah, Finn Wolfhard
Yeah.
from It
Yeah.
and Stranger Things. I did see the trailer for that. That was really good too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And it's a modern horror movie that takes place in the 90s where they're like two orphans and they have a nanny, and in the trailer it's like, oh, well, what happened to your last nanny? And then there's like ghosts and like this corpse in the house and hidden rooms, and it looks like a haunted house movie, and it seems pretty scary.
Yeah, it looked good. I thought so.
Yeah.
I just saw the trailer for that like 2 days ago, I think.
Yeah, I just saw the trailer for that, like probably Monday it might have been, yeah. So that I'm excited by too. That comes out in February. and it really looks pretty good. Like I'm excited by that one too. I think what's happening is Finn Wolfhard is kind of proving himself to be quite the prolific actor for such a young
Right.
person.
Doesn't he have a band too? I think he has a
Yeah,
band.
he was on. I don't know if you guys listen to Kevin Smith's podcast at all. He has one called Smodcast. He interviewed Finn Wolfhard, last month, and the interview was just amazing. It was,
It sounds like it would be an interesting interview.
yeah, like the kid is bright. The kid's bright, and I foresee that he has aspirations of becoming a director, and I think that's something he's probably going to be good at.
Cool.
I don't
Sounds like 2020 is kicking off with some good horrors.
Dude, 2020 really does sound like it's going to be the year of horror movies and horror shows. I don't know if you got a chance, if you guys have Apple TV Plus.
No.
M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. He has a series on there called Servant. I just watched the final episode last Friday. It came out. I was literally on the edge of my seat with every episode.
Really?
Yes, I could not wait until the following week. And it's one of those shows that, again, and I think you're going to find this more commonly, is that it's going to be a weekly release. And I think Disney, when they did the Mandalorian, there was a great interview with, what's his name, the writer and director of that.
John Favreau?
Yes. Jon Favreau, right. Jon Favreau said
Yeah, sorry.
he loved the idea of Game of Thrones. How every week everybody was discussing the last episode. It was the talk of the water cooler. It was the talk of all social
true.
media. And he thinks that makes shows sometimes even bigger than they really are. And
It's a good point.
Yeah.
he said The Mandalorian, he wanted that same thing. He wanted to be the heartbeat of the social media when the episodes were coming out. So he required from Disney as a weekly series release. And
It's a good idea.
Apple took from that same hymn book and said, you know what? All of our shows are going to be weekly releases also. And I in one case, I kind of like it because it builds up that anticipation, that urge to want to see the next episode.
Yep.
But it also
Yeah,
puts
definitely.
it into the social discourse of everyone's discussions. Is like, hey, did you see this week's Mandalorian, or did you see this week's Servant? And with M. Night Shyamalan, however you say his last name,
Shyamalan. Yeah.
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan.
He always is like this hit or miss guy, you know, where he
Right.
the story sometimes is great. Like one of the things I always use as an example is that shithole movie, The Village.
Oh yeah.
Right, The Village started out as like, wow, this is
Oh yeah,
fucking
you were
great.
like, this is such a good movie. Yeah,
And
I
then the
know.
end, he
It's
just like shit all over it. It was the worst ending ever.
Well, no, yeah, he's so hit or miss. It's crazy.
Right. And then you have things like The Visit, which to me, I still chalk up as his best movie. Like, I even think
Yep.
better than The Sixth Sense. I think The Visit blows my mind. The ending of it blows my mind even more than The Sixth Sense did.
Yeah, I just watched that last week.
You watched The
finally.
Visit?
And I,
Nice.
yeah.
What'd you think?
It was great.
Yeah.
And yeah, that ending, I was like, holy crap,
Yeah.
what the?
You're like, what the fuck? Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was like creepy with the old people
Oh my
doing all
God.
kinds of weird shit, and dude was like dropping dookies out there.
Oh my
and he had,
God,
like a
the
garage
fucking
full of
garage
diapers.
full of
I was
diapers.
like, what the? Oh my God.
A garage full
Yeah, it
of
was really good.
soiled
I liked it.
diapers. Or the scene where she's like playing hide and seek underneath the fucking house with the kids.
Oh yeah,
Oh, my
that was
God.
creepy.
And
Yeah.
the girl who's the main young girl in it, she's in that the Society on Netflix. She plays one of the main chicks on that too.
Well, and
she's a pretty good actress.
And the grandma in there is the old lady from It, Chapter 2.
Yep.
she likes to get naked a lot.
Apparently. Apparently. But yeah, so and in my mind, so far, season 1 of Servant is done. Season 2 is being filmed right now. And I just saw an interview with him that said, look, the goal here is 6 seasons, 60 episodes is how he has it written out. So whether or not it makes it that far is going to depend on the ratings, or if the story begins to bomb halfway through. That's one of those things, you know. He'll kick off the story great. This first 10 episodes blew my mind. Even today, my sister finished episode 10, and she immediately called me and was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck? They're gonna make us wait? What the fuck?" You know, it's like one of those kind of episodes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, he could blow it. It could, you know, the whole idea could sag halfway through. But so far,
No, that's the risk you run.
yeah, so far it looks great. And it's the same kind of weird twists and shit that are in his normal stories are there. So I definitely recommend seeing Servant. And since the whole season is done, you could do their what is it? They have a 1-month trial. You could sign up for the trial, watch that whole season, and it won't be a waste of money to do so.
Yeah, because I don't have Apple TV currently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got a year free with my new iPhone. You buy a new iPhone, you get a year of Apple TV free.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Yeah. I guess that's it for horror movie news. Anything else you guys want to discuss? Did I miss anything that you might have seen or are looking forward to in the next couple?
I've been watching that V Wars on Netflix, which is okay. It started out a lot better.
Yeah.
Then it's kind of dragging towards the end of the season, but it's a good concept. You know, they're not vampires in the traditional sense. They contract this virus from like the thawing northern hemisphere, or the North Pole area, and turns them into basically vampires. They're not your traditional vampire, and then it ends up being like the vampire people against like humans because they got to eat the people to live.
Right,
so
right.
it's pretty cool. It started to get a little bit crappier towards the end of the first
Is
season.
it kind of like? Do you ever see that movie Daybreakers? Is it like that?
I don't remember that movie.
All right.
Well, yeah. Again, they're people who just caught this like virus,
Yeah.
and then it spread really quickly but you have to have certain genetic makeup.
It was an ancient virus. Yeah,
it was
found
thawed.
in the ice.
It was
They
thawed,
found
and
it
then
in the
one
ice.
person got it, and apparently it's airborne, and it next thing you know, like
Apparently,
a
it's
quarter
the
of
vampire.
a quarter of the population's now vampires.
Jeez.
But there's two different types too. There's vampires who like to like go out and like actually like tear people apart and eat them, and then there's ones who like to just keep like slaves around and just drain them of enough blood,
Nice.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah. It's kind of like cattle.
Yeah, it's decent. Yeah, exactly. But it was pretty good.
That's awesome. I got to check that one out. What is that on?
Netflix.
Netflix.
Okay.
I watched the first few episodes of that.
There are actually 3 more
Yeah.
things I wanted to talk about, and I just remembered. for
Oh,
whatever
okay. Well,
reason.
there you go.
Okay.
One of them is
The Curse of La Lorna is coming on HBO Saturday night.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
is it?
That was a walkthrough. Did you go to the Halloween Horror Universal? Anybody?
No.
Okay. All right.
I'll have to do that now.
Because
I'm-
that was one of the walkthroughs, I guess, and people said they really liked it.
Oh, really?
So
I'm gonna have to do it now that I'm in California because I'm close to Universal Studios in Los Angeles.
Yep.
And I know that last year they did the Killer Clowns from Outer Space walkthrough as part of their Hollywood Horror Nights. Which I missed out on that.
Awesome.
3D probably too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Splattered with a bunch of cotton candy.
Additional news here. So the Dark Tower series, I know we discussed this before. Netflix was supposed. Amazon was supposed to pick it up. It got abandoned. Glenn Mazzara, he's the guy that was the showrunner for The Walking Dead's first, I guess the second season through the 5th season was. He was the showrunner. He developed and was running the show for this remake of The Dark Tower as a TV series instead of that shitty, godforsaken, horrible movie. But Amazon has abandoned it. Glenn Mazzara did tweet that he was very proud of the work that he did. He thought it was great, and he thinks that Stephen King and Robin Firth, who was also part of it, thought it was great too. And unfortunately, Amazon has abandoned it.
That's a bummer.
Which is unfortunate. I was really looking forward to it because I don't know if you saw the movie. It was absolutely fucking atrocious. Also, we talked previously about Terrifier 2. They did have that Kickstart thing. They were trying to raise $50,000. They raised $215,000.
Wow.
Well beyond
Way
what
to go, Art.
they wanted. Yep. because people obviously loved that movie so much.
So they can hire some better actors.
Yep. Terrifier 2 is still in production right now. But as they are wrapping up production, the director is already tweeting about the third movie.
Oh, nice. Got to have a trilogy.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to part 2. Like, I want to see
Me too.
how they resurrect this dude. Like, at the end, he was kind of, resurrected, kind of. I want to see how they really make that happen and then where they go from there. It was quite the movie, and I'm looking forward to it. So that's exciting.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be weird if if the Terrifier ends up being like this generation's like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that?
Might.
You know, like
It just might.
like because the first one like no one heard of and it did okay, but word of mouth seems to have like made it more popular.
Right.
And there's no origin story. It's just some crazy killer dude who just and now all of a sudden we have a sequel coming out and then already talks of the third one.
Yeah.
So an origin story is going to kick in there somewhere. So
Right, and I just feel like Terrifier was kind of like a throwback to those 80s slasher movies,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
over the top gore, naked chick gore, like it's just
Acting was just so.
yeah.
Oh, acting was bad.
Yeah, but it was like an 80s movie. It was good enough to be great.
I mean, the clown was good, but
Yeah. Well, actually, I want to say
that
like
weird lady.
I think the violence. I think that like
The baby
when you
was-
think of like the early like Nightmare on Elm Streets or maybe not Nightmare on Elm Street some more. There was Friday the 13th weren't quite as gory as Terrifier was.
No.
Like,
No, if you think about it,
yeah, a lot of the
It
kills
wasn't.
were like inferred.
Kevin Bacon's kill was good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the director and writer Damien Leon posted a really great Twitter photo about 2 weeks ago. It's a blurry photo, as not to reveal too much, but it's basically Art hacking away at somebody in a bloody blur.
Nice.
So I'm excited to see that. Art the Clown.
Cool. Yep.
Yeah, me too.
And one more
If
thing.
it'll make it to the theater.
I doubt it. I think it's going to be another direct-to-video. Who knows? Because maybe Shudder will pick it up.
That'd be
Because
cool.
Shudder seems to be putting out some pretty interesting things, so maybe they'll pick it up.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I definitely have to get it then.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Sweet.
So let's do this month's top 5. The top 5 this month is top 5 winter-themed horror movies. And the list goes this way. We start with Craig, then we go to Chris, then
All right.
myself.
Sounds good.
All right. So number 5 for me, I went with Misery.
That's a good one.
That's a tough one because there was a little bit, wasn't there? A little
I
bit
think
of
it took
spring.
place.
There's a little
yeah,
bit of
I
spring.
think a
but-
good chunk of it was winter time, though.
Yeah, I know because I like a lot of my movies. I'm like, well, it was like half winter and half spring.
Well, just the idea that
If there was
Some-
snow, if there was snow in like
I
at
know,
least
I know.
10% of the movie, I'd say
Yeah.
that it counts.
So yeah, I was like going to fence with Misery, but I went with Misery anyway.
well, that's the real horror of the
Uh,
movie, right? He gets into an accident and gets abducted in the middle
Yeah.
of winter. So-
Yeah.
all right.
Yep. And it was a pretty bad winter too.
Yeah.
That right. Number 4, I went with The Shining for obvious reasons. I mean, that's an epic. Talk about the snow, like the end there. That's just an epic
Yeah.
scene. I think when they're running in the maze in the snow.
Yeah, the snow played a big
Yeah.
role in both that book
Yeah.
and that movie.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cool things about this this top 5 is that I was trying to think of ones where the weather actually played a part of the.
Right.
It doesn't always work that way, but that one definitely.
Yep, for sure. Number 3, I went Let the Right One In.
Nice.
I totally forgot about
The
that.
the
That is,
original, right? The foreign film.
Oh yeah, the foreign, language. I did watch that in the foreign language
Yeah.
subtitled
did you?
English.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You got to.
That's how
you
I
got
like.
to. You got to watch that one that way.
Not me. I
know.
watch it dubbed. I don't care.
Yeah, I never watch them dubbed. I watched the original. Like I said, the acting is hidden if you watch the dubbed.
True,
ones.
that's true. But
that's
it's hitting
just-
me anyway if I can't understand the language and I'm sitting there trying to read it.
Yeah.
It's just that's my personal preference.
But again, I don't know how much the weather played, in that. But it was
It was-
just, it was the dark. I think,
Yeah.
it was
Oh, yeah.
dark early, and she was a vampire. So yeah, number 2, I went with The Visit.
Ah, nice.
Nice.
I can finally be in on the admiration of that movie.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I know. This isn't the first time I used The Visit, I think, is it?
No.
When I was
I've used
making
it.
this list, I think everything on my list has been in another list at some point.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't think Misery wasn't, but my number one, 30 Days a Night.
Nice.
Nice.
And that's definitely weather related.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that movie just kicked butt. Still one
Yeah,
of the top.
that's one of those ones like it doesn't lose like watching value. Like
I think the
got-
story too was tug at you a little bit.
and the brutality. It was
Yeah. Yeah, it was both. And the love story was good, and like you said, the brutality was really good.
yeah.
And that's again the snow. All the blood in the snow. It was cool. And then I had two honorable mentions. I went with Ghost Story from 1981.
I don't think I know that one.
What was his name? Fred Astaire was in that.
Nice.
There's actually a lot of good actors in that one.
Huh.
But when I was a kid, this is one of them that was on HBO. I remember it being on HBO.
Nice.
Ghost Story.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in forever, but like I said, I was a kid,
Mhm.
81, so they probably playing it on HBO in mid-80s probably. So I was probably, 10, 11, 12 years old. And then I went with The Thing as another honorable mention.
Very nice.
Nice.
Yep, that's my top five.
I think my lists have almost the same ones.
Yeah, this one's, there's not a ton.
There's not, but
Unless you go with like the Black
Yeah.
Christmases and
true. Yeah.
all the holiday ones.
Yeah.
There's a ton of those.
Well, I mean, you could have included those in too. I mean, it didn't have to be holiday, but it would.
No, I know.
It
I know. Krampus was one of mine.
right. You could. Yeah, you could have put
I
that
was
in
on
there.
the fence putting that on my list.
Yeah, I think we just said that it didn't have to be a holiday one.
No,
but,
nope, just winter.
As long as there
Yeah.
was. Yeah. So, but it could have been a holiday one.
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. All right, Chris, your turn.
Okay. My number 5 is Dead Snow.
This is the
Nice,
Nazis.
nice.
Yeah,
I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
It's such a great movie. It's one of those ones like when you're like you can't find something to watch and you're in the
Yes.
mood to watch.
Yes.
It's great, And I think one of the worst scenes in it wasn't even for me. It wasn't even the horror. It was when that dude was out in the outhouse taking a dump, and then the girl walks out there and like starts making out with him, and she
Yeah.
grabs his hand and starts like sucking on his fingers.
Well, speaking of Nazis, Overlord was just put on Amazon.
oh,
too.
nice!
Yeah, I
that was a
saw
good
that,
movie.
too.
I like that.
Yeah, they just threw that on. Amazon.
Man,
too.
remember the beginning of that movie was just like
Oh, like
crazy. Like you were actually
yeah,
in,
like Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
crazy.
Yep.
All right, my number 4 was Gremlins.
Oh,
Yep.
nice.
See,
I think I had that included in my holiday ones, but
Yeah.
like I said, it that took place pretty much throughout the winter. It was. Then my number 3 was 30 Days of Night,
Okay.
and like I said, I think each one of these was in another list at some point, which is kind of. Number 2 is The Shining,
Nice.
and then my number 1 is The Thing.
Nice.
Okay.
So we kind of all had, we kind of had the same stuff, just in
Dude, you have no idea.
different places.
You have no idea.
And then my 2 honorable mentions were The Visit
Yep.
and
Yep.
Misery.
Okay.
So very similar.
All right, here's my top 5. Now, when I picked this out, the way I was thinking about it is, look, where did snow play a significant role in the movie, and or where did it affect the whole underlying movie? Right.
Okay.
My number 5 is Krampus.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean
Cool.
that was huge.
Yes.
A huge part
I mean,
of that movie.
that was the underlying shaping factor of that movie was the snowstorm.
Yeah. I mean, that snow was crazy.
Yeah, I almost put that one on number 5 instead of Misery.
And then
I
it
was
turns
gonna
out
do
it was
Misery
crazy. Crazy
But-
snow because it was a snow globe.
Right, and Krampus really now is part of my permanent holiday movie list. My family.
Oh, I love.
Yeah, I've watched
I
it now
love
the last 2 years
I
around
love it.
Christmas time.
I love it.
My number 4
Yep.
is 30 Days a Night. Again, winter, the snow played a significant role in that movie. It was 30 Days a Night. It
Yeah.
was the winter in Alaska. It affected the whole movie from beginning to end. My number 3, Dead Snow. I love that movie.
Nice.
I can't stress enough.
And the sequel was actually pretty good
The
too.
sequel was great, but the first one, when I first I remember to this day, the day I watched it, I was like, "What the fuck? I love this movie."
Yeah.
That's on Amazon
It
too,
was.
isn't it?
It was.
I think. Yeah.
It was like a cross between like it definitely had elements like you could tell Evil Dead
Yeah.
because of just the over the top violence.
Yeah.
Like it was like the
The
blood
blood.
squirting
Yeah.
out, and like it was horror and it was zombies, but it was funny.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. My number 2.
Was it supposed to be a little funny? You think?
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
I
so.
do- I
It
do
had,
believe
had
so.
to have been. I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
some of the stuff they did was, and it starts out like these kids are on a camping trip, like in this cabin, and they're, it's your typical, drunk kids in a cabin doing dumb shit. So
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was intended to be that way. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, you haven't seen it yet?
No.
You definitely got. We should watch that one night.
Yeah, definitely worth watching.
Like I said, I think it's on Amazon. Maybe I'll watch it tonight.
My number 2 is Let the Right One In, the original movie. Again, I think
Yep.
that being a Norwegian film, that snow
Yeah.
played a significant role because the long. It's almost like 30 Days a Night.
What was the American version called, Sal? Do you remember? I didn't like what they did with it, but
Man,
I watched them both.
I don't even remember. All I remember is watching it and going, "What the fuck did they do to this movie? They've ruined it. They
Yeah.
ruined it.
Yep.
They didn't even understand what the movie was really about. They just blew it."
No.
My number 1 is The Thing.
Damn Americans.
Okay.
And obviously, again, the snow played a significant role in that movie. I mean, in most of these films, you think about 30 Days a Night, Krampus.
Which version of the thing? The Kurt Russell?
The original
Yeah,
Kurt-
that's the one-
Carpenter
yes,
one?
That's the one I'm
original
thinking
Kurt
of.
Russell. Because you think, right, look at
Yeah.
just the list of these movies. Let the Right One In, The Thing, Dead Snow, 30 Days a Night, Krampus. The snow was the trap. You couldn't get away. You couldn't get away from
Right,
yeah.
the horror because you're trapped in a snowstorm or you're trapped in Norwegian winter or you're trapped in Alaskan winter or you're trapped in, an Alaskan scientific
Yeah.
outpost. Like you couldn't get away.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
made that much more kind of, hard to it, like dread to the point where I cannot escape. And my honorable mentions, we have Misery, again, classic Stephen King horror movie.
Yeah.
The snowstorm played an anchoring role in getting him into the position he was in.
Right.
The Shining I've also added, which again, you're trapped. That snowstorm, you are trapped at the mercy of the horror in the story because you cannot get away because of snow. And then I've also added to my list as a honorable mention, Wind Chill.
Ah.
Oh. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think anybody had the wind chill on
Yeah.
there.
Well, we'll talk about it
Yeah.
then.
So that's the top five winter-related horror movies.
Yes. Some good
Yeah,
lists.
and it's funny because we pick often the same movies are overlapping on lists, and that's because some of these movies are such horror classics or such well done horror movies that they just are at the top of all those lists.
Yeah.
Okay, so the movie that we are reviewing, Wind Chill.
Yeah. Now I can see why you added that to your list because of the way you were putting your list and how
Right.
how the snow
It
and
played
or
a
winter
major
affected
role
the,
in the film.
and in that movie it was huge. I mean
Yes.
that was one of the causes of the fear in the movie was the sub-zero weather and the snow.
Yeah, you could not get away. There was no way to
Right.
get away. And even to the point where let's get into the discussion of the movie. So we decided we picked a movie this time around. I believe Chris, you picked it, right? Or was it?
Yeah, well, originally we were going to do Black Christmas, and then you and I saw it
was
before Craig did.
complete
And said,
trash.
Don't
yeah,
bother.
Yeah, Chris texted me. He's like, don't do it.
I was like, I'm not going to go see it again.
Listen, we
So
did
you wanna go
not
see it, you're
want
going by
Yeah,
yourself.
we did not want Craig to spend his money, nor did we want you to spend your money a second time to see that piece of trash.
Oh God.
But we do have to review bad movies sometimes.
We do,
though,
we
too.
do,
can't just
we do.
You know, we
I
can't pick and
just did.
choose.
I
Yeah.
just did review it.
Yeah.
Here's the review. Black Christmas was trash. Next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The remake.
Yeah, the remake. Let's not make a mistake there because the original film was fucking amazing, and the remake,
Right.
the first
This
remake,
was
was
trash.
not that bad. This third one strayed completely from the original stories, and it was just a horrible mess.
And I, this is the first time I've seen a Blumhouse production that I was just totally like, ugh.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they we're batting 100.
And I wanted to like it. I really wanted to like it, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't mind messages in my movies, but it's got to be a good movie
come
if
on.
you want to make it a
What a
messagey
piece of
movie.
crap.
If you're going to make a movie a messagey movie, your movie can't suck.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's just going to make people extra angry. You gave me this fucking stupid ass message, and your movie was crap.
Now,
I'm done. I'm done with my review of that
Yeah.
thing.
let's talk Wind Chill. So Wind Chill came out in 2007. I have never heard of it or seen
Me neither.
anything about this movie. So to me, it was a bit of a shock when you suggested it, and I looked it up, and I'm like, wait a minute, 2007, never even heard of it. And even better than that, it has Emily Blunt in it, which
Yeah, right?
I
Yeah.
was like, oh crap, it's got some star power in it, man.
She's British,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, she's married to John Krasinski. She was
Yeah.
the mom in
Oh, that's right.
A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place.
Right.
that's
So this film, Wind Chill, 2007, is a British American horror film. It was directed by Gregory Jacobs, which he's done some significant stuff. But this I think is really probably my favorite of what he's done that I've seen, and I've only seen 2 other films of his. Emily Blunt starred in this one, which I think her role was fantastic.
She was great.
And then
That was a great role.
right, and then her opposite was this Ashton Holmes, which he's been in a couple things, but
I've seen him in stuff. We watched that show Atypical on Netflix.
Okay.
And he plays the boyfriend in that. I like him. And he did a good job in this movie too. I
yeah,
thought.
the only movie that I saw him in was oh shit, what was the name of that? I can remember the Pacific. That's what it was. It was a little mini series that he was in. My
Okay.
daughter was watching it, and she pointed it out to me, and I watched it. It was a couple of years ago, about 2011 or something, maybe. But he's a young guy. He's I think
Yeah.
he's a British actor, maybe. Is he British? I think he might be British.
Yeah, it seemed like he had a bit of an accent. I thought.
But the film overall was a great film. It was actually produced by a Blueprint Pictures, which is George Clooney's production company.
Yeah, I saw when I was talking
Yeah, he
about like, who
produced
it.
produced it
Yeah,
and stuff. I was like,
George
wow.
Clooney.
So it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had never heard of it. Sometimes when you're looking at movies in like a search
Yeah.
engine, they'll say, other people have liked this.
Oh, yeah, that's where I saw it. It was like one of the
Yeah.
10 sleepers. that
Yeah, and I was
you
like,
should
oh,
go
well, let me
see.
check it out. And I was like, oh, Emily Blunt, oh, that looks interesting. And I was like, huh. So then I checked out like reviews of it, and the reviews were all pretty positive. Like
Yeah,
I like-
IMDb gave it a
Yeah.
5.8.
Right. And it was one of those films that didn't have a good release, though, right? Like, I never
Yeah.
heard of it. And apparently...
No, me neither.
I never did.
Yeah,
either.
apparently when I Googled it, I'm like, oh, well, it had like a limited release in some art house films back in April of 2007, and then it just got dumped. It was in the theaters in the United Kingdom and Ireland, and then it went directly to DVD for the rest of the U.S.
Huh.
Which is unfortunate. I think a lot of what happens with movies like that is if you've got a good production company, you got a great script and a great story and a great director, and you do something nice, but you don't have a good distribution company under you, you're just fucked. And that's where things...
That's true. That's a good point. You never really thought about it that way.
And apparently they couldn't get apparently from what I read, so that Blueprint Pictures production company and George Clooney and there's some other people that are members of that production company. Section 8 Productions also was part of the production of this. They shopped around and could not find a decent distributor in the United States, which is unfortunate.
Huh, that's crazy.
But they did get Sony Pictures in the UK, which is fucked up. Like, Sony Pictures clearly has the US market. Why wouldn't they release it in the US
Yeah.
too? But instead, TriStar Pictures, which is like a subtitle under, was it United Artists? Wasn't TriStar like
Yeah,
part of
I think
United
so.
Artists or something like that?
I think so. Yeah.
So they did the direct-to-DVD release in the U.S. But needless to say, it was a great movie. I was actually impressed by it. It was creepy. There was a lot of very creepy parts to it.
It was definitely creepy. Yeah.
There were a lot of very uncomfortable parts to it. And supposedly the story takes place near State College in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gathered that when I was seeing the license plates and like where they were at and stuff. And,
Yeah, you
know,
saw the
Yeah,
Keystone
what was
Bad
the
Cop.
highway? What was the highway they got stuck on?
Oh yeah, 476. That's a turnpike.
Yeah.
But there was 606.
606.
which
That's
is off
right.
the
That's right. It was
turnpike.
606. So 606 is where
Yeah.
that's part of the snow belt.
Yep.
So the story just is close to home. Like when you think about the snow belt and you think about highways in Pennsylvania that go through like the middle of fucking
Ugh.
nowhere, and you get one of
Yep.
those fucking snowstorms, and all of a sudden you're trapped. That was to
Yeah.
me, that was the part of the film that was like, oh fuck. When they got knocked off the road by that jerk off, what apparently was the ghost.
Yep.
And spoilers, I got to stop right there because I started.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Spoiler alert! We're going to talk in detail some of these scenes.
Well, the movie's from 2007, so I don't.
Yeah, it's true. We have that rule that if it's
If it's
over 10 years old and or even 5 years old, then too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just if you want to watch this movie and you don't want to be spoiled, you can stop now, watch the movie, and come back and hear our review. But
Yeah, because there is some twists.
yeah, we're gonna dump out our thoughts of this movie because I have a lot to say about it because I really liked it. I'm surprised that this didn't have more like fanfare about it. Like even on a lot of the horror websites that I've constantly read for horror news and to keep up with what movies are coming out and what movies are great, I don't remember ever seeing this on anybody's list.
Yeah.
But to me, it touches close to home because of living in Pennsylvania, knowing those like Interstate 80, like where they have. I don't know if you've ever been up Interstate 80. When you get towards the middle of the state, they have those giant road barriers
there's nothing.
because
Yeah.
basically
Nothing.
the road they just shut it down. Like it gets so much snow, they just put the barrier. They put like a big train crossing barrier across the whole fucking Interstate 80,
Yeah.
and you can't go on it
Yep.
because it's fucking blocked ahead because of snow. And this made me think of that, and it gives you that same kind of eerie feeling. Like, what if you're fucking trapped on Interstate 80 and there's nothing there?
Yeah. Well, that was like 78. That was like 3 or 4 years ago when there was like that
Oh my
80 car
God,
pileup because
yes.
there was a snow squall that happened.
Yes.
That was right out there in like middle.
That was only a year or two.
like
ago.
near
Yeah.
in between
Dude,
Hamburg and
yeah. 2 years ago when we had
yeah.
that blast of a snowstorm that just kicked into nowhere, it took me 3.5 hours to drive home in the snow, and I was like one of 10 people on the road. But I was like, you know what? I'm in the middle of nowhere on 78. Like you're between Pennsylvania and New Jersey. There's like nowhere. There's no exits. You can't get off the highway. And if you pull over to wait for snowplows to come by, you could be there for days. And I recall,
Kinda like in the movie.
and I recall distinctly, 2 years ago when that happened, people slept in their car overnight because the snowplows weren't prepared for that snowstorm.
Yeah.
But and
So I
for the three of us that come from living in a place that has that type of environment, it's kind of hit home. It made it even that much
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
scary.
So I thought it was a little bit like a lot of snow. Like I was like Pennsylvania. So I watched the credits at the end, and they were filmed it in British Columbia.
Yeah, in Vancouver
Yeah.
apparently.
Vancouver. Yeah.
Vancouver, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole idea that it took place in Pennsylvania is fucking pretty close to home.
No, I thought that was cool. Yeah, I thought that was cool. I don't.
Well, one of the nice things about going into this movie for me and not really knowing a whole lot about it other than what you read on the preview was that I didn't really know what genre it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And up until maybe 3/4 of the way through, I still wasn't sure exactly what genre it was supposed to
It's
be.
a slow burn.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple different things going there, like different things
Yes.
to be scared of. Like
Yep.
Yeah.
which was kind of cool. Like you didn't know, which was great, and I liked it. It was a stalker movie, elemental disaster movie, and a ghost story.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
within an hour and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
Now, initially, when you
What-
get to the beginning of that movie and you meet the female student, she's leaving Pennsylvania University. She needs a ride home back to. I guess she said she lives in Delaware.
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 So she
Yeah.
needed a ride home from Pennsylvania University to Delaware. So you're talking, that's like a 7-hour drive, really. That's a long ass drive. But she seemed like a fucking cocky bitch.
Yeah.
Like she was
She sure
not a
did.
nice person. But the guy that gave her a ride, his car was not the fucking greatest car.
Well, yeah, because she say she usually flew home or something?
Yeah. She was very arrogant. She was a very arrogant character.
Yeah.
She left his groceries.
Yeah.
Dumb bee.
Yeah.
So she could fit her shit in.
Yeah, and his car was like full of shit. His car was beat up. His trunk was
God,
full
the
of
car
like
was a
it was like he
junker.
was living out of his fucking car.
Yeah, pots and
Yeah.
pans.
And then he's like, he got kicked out of his apartment, so like all his shit is in his fucking trunk.
Which ended up being kind of beneficial.
Yeah, to something. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So there they are driving in the snowstorm. It's like this horrific, historic snowstorm. And then the car coming down the middle of the road that causes them to fucking swerve and lose control. Which
Well, he swerves off this back road, off the major highway, because the major highway was fine.
yeah, he was taking a shortcut, right? He was taking a shortcut.
Well, that's what he
Scenic
told her.
route.
Scenic route.
Scenic route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then that's the thing too, is like you don't know, like she's observing him having these conversations, right? She doesn't know
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, she was asking him questions. Yeah.
Like, what's he doing? Blah blah whatever. And that clerk, supposedly he says the clerk's giving him directions or whatever, and that's when he takes that alternate route to take 606, which
Yeah.
is the back road, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're more or less through like a wooded ravine type area, right?
Yep.
And she obviously,
Yeah, there was little hints here and there that he wasn't. He was different. He wasn't what he said he was. Like when she was talking about her glasses, and he said, "Yeah, you look good in them." And she's like,
Oh, yeah, you were like,
yeah, and then
I
How
don't
do
wear
you
them.
know?
yeah,
I,
exactly.
I don't ever wear them out.
Yeah,
And then she asked
Yeah.
what beach he goes to, Rehoboth or
Yeah.
Stone Harbor, and I knew it was like Stone Harbor was. I knew it like my parents live in Rehoboth, so I thought that was kind of a cool nod too. But I knew Stone Harbor was in Jersey.
Yeah.
and I was like, that's not in Delaware.
yeah,
And he's like, oh, Stone Harbor.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then she's kind of like, get back on the main road. Like, I'm not comfortable with these
Mhm.
side roads, wherever the fuck you're taking me.
And then the weather gets really bad.
Yep. And then
Yep.
nightfall comes, right? And you see those headlights kind of coming at him in the middle of the road. And that causes him to swerve. They hit the car's basically fucking
Snowbank.
buried into a snowbank or snowdrift. And
Yep.
they're fucked.
And they're leaking gas.
Yeah. And then from there, the whole movie starts to like change.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, okay, so they're trapped in the woods together. This is obvious. But then it changed. Yeah, then that dude walked down the street,
Right?
and I was like, okay. And at first, I thought maybe it was one of the dudes from like the truck stop that they were at, and he was in on it with like this kid. Like maybe this kid was actually from
Yeah,
this area.
that's what I thought too.
And like he was part of it, and he was gonna they were gonna like take her back to the truck stop or something like that. That's
Yeah, because
that's
locked
what
her
I
in
saw back.
the bathroom, right? The bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a little freaked out.
And all
by
of a
it.
sudden,
Yeah.
yeah, that bathroom scene was creepy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, that dude like walks into the woods and gone. It's like, where the fuck did that guy go?
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck is going on here?
Is there like some like clubhouse up in there? Like they're all like hiding in, or like, yeah,
Yeah.
it went weird.
Yeah, so then the gas situation, right? So he tries to go to the gas station that they passed.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in that mix there, right?
She follows that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she follows him and can't find his track anymore in the dark.
Well, they
in the
couldn't see
cold.
the tire tracks either. Remember?
Right,
Right,
yeah.
the tire-
From
That
the
was
car that
sorta-
ran him off the road.
That's when things started going
Yeah.
wacky. He's like, well, where's their car tracks?
Yeah.
I don't see them.
Yeah.
So then she turns around to walk back to the car after she can't find that dude who walks in the woods, and dude is back.
It's like, wait a
He was
minute.
supposed to go to the gas
You
station.
couldn't have gone to the gas station. It's too far back. How did you get there and get back? Like, what the hell?
Yeah. He's like, oh, it was, what did he say? Did he say it was closed?
Yeah,
yeah.
he said
No,
it was
he
closed.
He
It was
did say,
closed.
how are you going to buy it? Like, she obviously knew he couldn't have gone all the way back there and came
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And, you know, like,
She's like, there's no way you weren't gone long enough. There's no way that you could have done that, right?
so then she makes him stay. She locks him out of the car.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she stays in the car with him, like, freezing out there.
Oh, and don't forget the window. Remember?
Oh, yeah, the window doesn't go up all the way.
Well, and then he reveals
like-
to her that he's been watching her.
He's
Like,
got
a
duct
stalker.
tape in the back.
He's a fucking
Yeah.
stalker.
Yeah. He put that the paper up there on purpose because he overheard her telling her friend that she needed to ride to Delaware.
It gets,
Yeah, he was looking at her phone when they were in
Yeah,
class.
that's right. That's right.
In class, he was stalking her.
Yeah. So then the cool thing I liked about it too was how the radio kind of helped to
Yes.
to push the story
Rocking
along.
around the
Yeah,
Christmas
they had the
tree.
AM radio oldies on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and then the weather kicked in, and they told you it was how cold it was going to get over the next couple hours in the state of emergency.
That's when it got creepy. I
Yeah.
think, right?
Yeah.
But then, yeah, the radio would like kick off and on, and then then you figure out what's going on with the radio. Well, she figured that out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, he admits that he didn't go to the gas station.
Right. And he's got his face is bleeding.
Yeah,
or
he's
his neck.
coughing up blood. Yeah.
Yeah. And he didn't tell her, and she didn't realize it, but he got hurt a little bit worse in the accident than he let on.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you got these, black-clad
Priests?
figures, these dead priests or whatever they are. That got a little crazy. The
Yeah.
fucking ghost cop, and every time the ghost cop fucking appears, the radio kicks on with
Yeah, he would yank him out of the
Yeah.
car.
Yep.
the radio kicks on with "Rocking Around the Christmas Tree." It's like the herald of the cop. He's
Yeah.
on his way.
Oh my God, he's coming.
It was listen, I think it was a great movie. I mean, there were some obvious parts that were not fucking amazing, but to me, I was pleasantly surprised by the movie. Like, I can't believe I haven't seen this
Yeah.
movie. And the way that the whole thing comes undone at the end, I thought was great too.
Yeah, although the end, it took me a while to digest that last like 15 minutes or so because it really got hectic there.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
did. Yes.
And I was trying to follow it along. And,
Yeah, it
and-
was like, did that happen? Or did
Yeah.
that happen?
Exactly,
Like,
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was like, and then she woke up again, and it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, she was dozing off.
it was a
too, in
bit
the car.
disorienting, which I guess
Because it was like
if you're freezing to death,
you get delirious. Yeah.
Yeah.
like they said, you basically fall asleep and never wake up again. Like, I wonder if they were trying to make you feel that,
Yeah.
you were losing time too,
Yep.
so it was cool,
Yeah.
Yep.
a little confusing but cool.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie, and I did a little research on it too, and found that although it didn't go to many theaters in the U.S., the global box office take was $285 million. So it
Really?
was not
Really?
it was
Wow.
not a horrible film in terms of box office
Wow.
numbers. Now, unfortunately, the
No,
U.S.
that's
numbers,
definitely good.
the U.S. numbers were significantly less part of that. It was mostly
Yeah.
the UK that brought in those numbers, but still, $285 million is not so bad on that film.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good. It's pretty good.
It doesn't, unfortunately. You get these little runs of like studio produced like horror movies, the PG-13 kinds that all are formulaic and all kind of they all pop up at the same time, like when The Grudge came out or
Yep.
when the Ring came out, and that didn't really fit in any of that stuff. Like,
No.
So that's probably why they couldn't pick it up, because no one wanted to take a
Yeah.
risk, on something
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 46%, Metacritic gives it a 52%, BBC gave it 5 out of 5 stars.
Wow.
So, it was a pretty decent.
Because Emily Blunt probably.
It,
right?
it might be part of it, yeah. And it is, believe it or not, if you look up the genre it's associated with, holiday horror.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. Well, I guess she was going home for break, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, and they
it
were
was,
playing Christmas music on the
Well,
radio.
and that's the
Yeah,
thing.
so
if you-
it was
the
the
23rd.
Think about it.
Yeah, that's right,
as,
yeah.
December 23rd.
Brenda
Yeah.
Lee's rocking around the Christmas tree as the herald of the cop ghost.
Yeah.
That makes it that officially ranks it up there with a holiday horror movie.
Yeah. You gonna add it to the rotation?
I doubt it. I mean, I like the movie, but I don't know that I'll add it to the rotation.
Yeah, it's not. It does. I don't know if you could watch
Yeah,
it.
it's not one of those that you can
Like
watch
if I would watch it
second.
with someone who hasn't seen it before,
Maybe,
I'd probably watch
yeah.
it just to see their thoughts on her. But other than that, like,
But it definitely was worth the watch, right? I mean, there was no point.
Yeah,
there was no
definitely.
point
Yeah.
during the film where it's like, all right, this is garbage. I'm going to turn it off.
no, not at all. Actually, like you said before, there was some good scares to it. There was creepy.
It was
a little
very
bit,
creepy.
like,
there
I
there
liked
were
it.
plenty of scenes that made you feel kind of. I hate to use the word again, but hopeless. You kind of felt like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
they're never getting out.
Yeah, they're gonna freeze to
never
death.
getting out of there. She's
Yeah.
never getting out of there. between the sequences where
Especially
she's
that crack in the
right
window,
where she's like dreaming, and then she wakes up and like, wait, that wasn't even real. What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, I think it was pretty cool too how the different types of horror that took place. Like she was originally afraid that he was some sort of like stalker who was going to like drag her out there into the middle of nowhere and like rape her or whatever. Right. And then just because of the elements they were in, their relationship switched and they became like friends. And like she let him put his hands up under her shirt to warm them and stuff. So she was no longer worried about that. Now she's worried about just living.
Exactly.
And then you got the damn ghost.
Yeah, and then you find out that, oh shit, this is like this corrupt cop that was murdering people along this road of the highway. It took place in the 1950s. I'm like, what the fuck? Like the whole, and to me that part also kind of made me think of Pennsylvania too, because when I used to do that political podcast in Pennsylvania there every now and then, we also touched on things like conspiracy theories and ghost stories and shit. Mm. And we actually had a Pennsylvania State Police officer talking to us about ghost stories and people that used to call the police because they thought they saw a ghost up there in rural Pennsylvania. There was this one, I can't remember the name of it. It was like some sort of something screamer that was named after this old Route 9 bridge where someone apparently like jumped off and committed suicide, some girl in the 1950s. But it just made me think of that, when you have this rural area in the road, you got a corrupt cop who's driving people off the road and fucking killing them. How he can kill people by just touching them now, turning them to fucking freezing them.
Right. That's creepy too.
Yeah. So to me, it's just like the whole ghost story, Pennsylvania, Delaware kind of thing. I thought it was nice. Mm-hmm. It was a decent story, and definitely worth at least one watch.
I've picked worse ones.
My personal rating, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5, or 3. Give me 3.5 out of 5.
3.5 out of 5. I think that's what I would give it too. I'd say 3.5 out of 5.
I was going to do 3, so 3.5 it is.
So, the American Nightmare Podcast gives this month's movie, Wind Chill, 3.5 stars out of 5. It is not a must see.
Yeah, it's got Emily Blunt.
It's not a must see.
It was good. It was entertaining.
But it was definitely good. You're not going to be disappointed seeing it.
If you're looking for something different and something you can watch and won't be disappointed in, it's a
great movie to watch while you're freezing your ass off in Pennsylvania during all the snowstorms.
It's true. It's true.
And I was cold while I was watching it.
Yep.
It makes you colder.
And we just had a storm the day of.
Just perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. So that's another episode in the bag.